Today, I would like to talk to those of you who may feel as if their life has no meaning, has no purpose, they haven't achieved, or you haven't achieved, we haven't achieved certain stations or a certain status in life that we would have desired to achieve. Do you feel like you are miserable? And why are you miserable? When this video is done, would you please leave a comment in the comment section below and let us all know. I particularly would like to know why you feel like you are miserable. I have three categories that I think that most of us can relate to as it relates to futility and anguish, frustration, and even pain in our lives that may cause us to feel miserable. One of the most common issues that we have to face in life is that of finances. No money, little money, or not enough money to take care of the fundamentals and or staple things in life. That can make you frustrated. It can place you in a situation where you feel like you have no recourse, no alternatives once you have, let's say, for example, exhausted your savings, all of your savings. Maybe even sometimes if you have a 401k, you've used that, or an IRA. Even borrowing money from family and friends. You never seem to catch up. You can never seem to get into the black and out of the red. Finances can cause us to be depressed. I haven't been, I guess, depressed in the sense of maybe from a psychological evaluation, if that were to take place. Maybe a clinical evaluation may say, well, you're depressed. I don't think anyone would really know that because I'm the type of individual, for the most part, I internalize a lot of things and have over the years. I share, release some frustrations, uh, sometimes with friends, people that are close to me, just to vent about certain issues, particularly those things that I can't control or don't have control of. But for the most part, I keep things to myself. I don't know about you. So, again, finances can cause us to feel bad. And oftentimes, when we have financial issues, it's the result of one of a few things. Number one, we are the main breadwinner in our family. We are the only individual with no family members sometimes trying to provide for ourselves, and we don't have sufficient or adequate income to carry ourselves. I'm talking about the fundamentals and or the staple things in life. I'm not talking about amenities. I'm not talking about cable television or a $1,000 iPhone. I'm not talking about things like that, or the latest Jordans and outfits and jewelry and flat screen televisions. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people who are the working poor or even the middle class who work from day to day and can't seem to stay afloat. So I'm going to skip that for a moment. I touched on That's one of the things that can cause us, that is, to feel miserable. Number two, our health. You have been diagnosed with and you are experiencing hypertension, high blood pressure. You're taking medication. You have heart problems. You may have a stent in your heart, maybe even a stent in your brain. You have some sort of neurological issues going on with yourself, maybe even respiratory issues. You could have gout. You could have rheumatoid arthritis, fusion of your disc in your back. You could have hip issues, as do I, knee issues. All of these things that are cumbersome to you and make it difficult to manage yourself in life, and you could be depressed because you can't do the things that you would like to do that you did when you was a child. Well, some can say this is the result of aging. You're getting older. You're not as young as you used to be. So health problems or bad health, you may even go blind or be partially blind or legally blind. I didn't mention that, but there's a plethora of things as it relates to health that can cause us to feel miserable. The third one, which is not necessarily the first one, not any of these three are in any particular order because they are all relevant to our lives in most instances. So I'm going to leave the health and I'm going to leave the finances and I'm going to go to this third and last one for this particular video, and that is the one of relationships. Yes, I said relationships. Some of us are miserable in our relationships or even past relationships. We are miserable because we don't see eye to eye with our mates. They don't see eye to eye with us. There's no balance. There's no homogeneous relationship. We're not bound together, equally yoked, for some reason. And it causes oftentimes distance. Even though you may occupy the same room, the same house, apartment, you can still be distant here in the heart. Still be distant emotionally. No emotional attraction to one another any longer. It could be because one or both partners don't know how to manage money well. One or both partners splurge their money on material things before they take care of the necessities in the home. My mom always taught us as a child, make sure you have a roof over your head first. That's the most important thing. Make sure you have a place to live. Your utilities, this is me. And some form of communication, a phone. And then food and everything else after that. But a resident, a place to live. That's basic, right? Everything else trickles down from that. Now you investing in a brand new car or a brand new used car, and you have major bills that end up ignored. You leave those behind or put those on the back burner. But you want to style around and you want to try to appear to be doing well financially. You want to appear to be some sort of a celebrity amongst your friends and even family because you have a nice looking vehicle. But you're frustrated because you have to now pay a car note every month, oftentimes for 3 or 4 years, and you've added that to your family's budget. But was it necessary? Or was it only necessary in your mind? It could have been okay just for you to commute on public transit and put that in your to-do list down the road. But sometimes we're so spontaneous and we jump right off into adding this new bill to your other list of bills when we really should avoid it. You see, you're really not supposed to be living to try to please someone else outside of you. And what is the purpose of trying to impress another human being who cares less about the fact that you have a new car? You see, it wears off as soon as you drive by. Oh man, I see you have a new car. I like that car. End of conversation. They never talk about it again. Oh yeah, girl, I see you. You styling now. That's a sweet ride you have. After that, it's over. But what is not over are those car payments every month and that maintenance fee. And what if the tire goes flat? And that insurance that you have to pay monthly, quarterly, all transmission fluid, brakes, whatever. You just added that to your monthly bill, all for show. So now, this can make one miserable as well. So, why are you miserable? We're going to back up to the first one. You're upset because you don't have enough money to pay your bills. And you're miserable. I'm going to tell you what the reason is, and I'm going to touch on each one, and I'll be done. The reason that you're miserable as it relates to your economic situation and as it relates to your health and as it relates to your relationships is because of your failure to act. Yes, I said it. Your failure to act. Now, please forgive me. I'm going to leave a little cushion here for that small percentage of people who have extenuating circumstances. I'm not talking to you. That's not the majority of the people. The majority of the people who are miserable in those three categories is because of their failure to act. First thing, if you don't have enough money to pay your bills, you need to sit down and have a talk with yourself. I said it. Have a talk with yourself. You don't need anyone else but you if you are the one who pays the bills. If it's two of you that pay the bill, then both of you need to have a talk with yourselves individually and with one another. But right now, you must have a talk with yourself and be real. Be truthful to yourself and say this. What is it that I really need? From day to day, from month to month, what are my essential bills? Not what I deem as being essential, but what actually is essential. Did you hear me earlier say a roof over your head? Your rent or mortgage is first. Utilities, which will include, depending on where you live, what you live in, apartment, house, or whatever, You're going to have electric, gas, and water. Any of those that you don't have, fine. But those are the three major utilities. Now, that's necessary. So, rent, mortgage, your utilities. Got it covered now. So you have a stable homestead as far as those basics are concerned. What's next? It is always necessary to have a form of communication. You don't have to have a landline per se in your home. That's another bill. So is a cell phone. So if you have a landline in your home and a cell phone or two cell phones or your children on a cell phone playing with you and your husband or wife or girlfriend on a cell phone playing with you and your mama, your daddy, your aunt, and your uncle on a cell phone playing with you, you may want to reconsider your plan. So slash the landline if it's not needed and you have a cell phone. If these other individuals that may be on a plan with you or combined plan or you on their plan, have your own plan. Make your own self responsible and accountable for your plan. And stop riding on someone else if you have income. And stop letting someone else ride on you who has income. Let them carry their own load. Be man or woman enough to do this. That's going to save you money and take some of the pressure off of you financially. Food. Food is a necessity for life. Stop going to restaurants every day, twice a day, every other day, every weekend. If you were, every time you go to a restaurant, if you were to keep every receipt of every restaurant transaction throughout the 4 weeks of a month approximately, you will find out that you probably have spent about $200 to $300 in fast food on average. Stop doing it. Sometimes we want to say it's convenient. It's not always convenient. Sometimes you do it because you just simply like it. Stop doing it. Learn to incorporate or reincorporate into your lifestyle conventional cooking again. Start making 2 or 3 meals a week at least on the stove, in the oven, yourself. If you have a family, for your family. Make a pot of soup, chili, spaghetti, or whatever, something that's going to last 2 to 3 days, and you lay the law down. Don't consume this food that I made for 2 or 3 days in one day just because of your gluttonous ways. This is the real brother teacher talking. I'm sorry. And I'm not ashamed. So, you tell your family, this is to last 2 to 3 days. Make a couple meals a week like that. I'm not going to say you will be surprised. You should know that it's going to happen. That the fact is that you're going to save money. It's really that simple. When you go to the grocery store, start buying more food, real food. Not family-sized packages of cookies and pastries and potato chips and all of these frozen meals, hot pockets, and things of this sort. Make real food for your family. You will enjoy it better. You won't have to be concerned about all of the preservatives and the chemicals in it if you do it that way. That's going to save you money. Also, stop driving your car to the corner store. Get out the house and walk. You need the exercise for one. That's one of the things that's wrong with American people now, is that they are too comfortable. They don't want to do anything You don't want to do anything for yourself. Let the automation do it. Let me jump in the car to go 5 blocks. Walk your behind to the store and back home. You will have accomplished two things. Number one, you will have increased the years on your life through that exercise, and you will have bought your groceries and come back home. You'll feel good about it. Someone says, well, what if I have a lot of groceries to get? If you manage what you buy every time you go to the grocery store, you won't have to have 2 or 3 carts of product to bring back home. Take your children with you on that walk, or your husband with you, or your mate with you on that walk to the grocery store and come back. They may not like it either, but guess what? You might enjoy bonding with one another on the way to and from. That's another benefit. And it's going to say a lot about your partner if they say they don't want to go. That's another way to save money. Now, let's get to the crux of this. Financially too, something else. Some of us have become complacent with where we work. And we have a lot of extra times sometimes on our hands. Some of us might have older children that are teenagers, and they can pretty much take care of themselves or fend for themselves. And you can perhaps take on a second job, a part-time job, to increase your income, as it were. Some of you don't want to do that because you like that extra time. But let me tell you this, if you like that extra time, then stop complaining about not having money. Stop complaining about not having enough money, because complaining is not going to change your situation. Period. It's not. Okay? That's it right now. Note that I said right now on the finances. So if you have to take on another job, or you and your partner, if you're in a relationship like that, husband, wife, boyfriend, whatever, if both of you have to take on another part-time job, make sure you manage your finances, manage your money. Sit down at the table together and see what's a bill that's essential every month versus your wants. What you need comes first. What you want comes second. Okay? Now, the next category out of the 3, I'm going to say it's going to be your health. Sort of pausing for a moment because this is pretty sensitive to some. It's pretty difficult for some. But I say this out of compassion, out of empathy to many of you, and even sympathy to some of you who have had some chronic health issues all or most of your lives, and even probably for a short period of time. In many cases, most of our health issues are caused by us. Plain and simple. It is. If it's not caused by you, then tell me why it isn't caused by you. And before you answer that question or put anything in the comment section, make sure that you think it through and still be honest with yourself. This is hard for many people to do, to face that demon called you. When you look in that mirror, what did Michael Jackson say? I'm looking at the man in the mirror, or the woman. Seeing how you can change your ways as it relates to your health. If you have heart problems, if you're diabetic, if you have respiratory problems, do you eat a lot of sugar? Do you eat a lot of processed foods? Do you smoke cigarettes? Do you smoke weed? Do you take a lot of pharmaceutical and even over-the-counter drugs? Do you drink a lot of alcohol? Do you like to get your buzz on? Are you always eating pastries, ice cream and cake and cookies, and never exercising? Do you have gastrointestinal issues? Do you lounge around and lay around the house all of the time? And if you're not working, you're retired, semi-retired, or on disability, do you do most of the time just eat and eat and eat and eat because you have a monthly income that's guaranteed by the state or the federal government? If all of these things or part of these things apply to you, guess what? The problem is you. Well, you say, brother teacher, I can't lose this weight. Why not? You could gain it. You could lose the weight. The question is, you haven't taken any action. You haven't taken any action. If you really want to have a reasonable portion of health and strength, you will take action. People have been going on in our society for ages and ages about all of these different pills and potions and exercise plans and these exercise and workout centers and these different diets and so forth. California diet, Miami diet, Atkins diet, this diet, that diet, the paleo diet, and so on and so forth. When all you have to do is study nature. And studying nature is not even complicated because we are nature. Put the things in you that's nature and stop putting the things in you that's not nature. Do I have to break nature down for you? I hope not. But if you would like me to, put it in the comment section below and tell me specifically what you want to know about nature. Some things you really need to do on your own. Because oftentimes when I or people like myself give you too much information, you ignore it. But you appreciate your own work. When you put the effort in, you appreciate it better. All I'm doing is guiding you to that place. So now, I've talked about your health. Most of your ills that you're faced with, most of your most of your maladies, your diseases, your conditions medically were caused by you. Now, the third one, and I'll be done. Relationships. I talked about this not too long ago, about being in a relationship where the partners don't see eye to eye and where there is no common ground. Hear me and hear me really well, ladies and gentlemen. And I am as serious can be when I tell you this. I'm not suggesting, I'm not encouraging anyone in a specific relationship or any specific individual or individuals to leave your partners. I'm not telling you to do that. So don't walk out the door today and say, brother teachers told me to do it. No, I didn't. I'm speaking in general. I can't speak specifically because I don't know anyone's relationship issue specifically associated with you, the person, and your name. So I'm not talking to the person or any particular person. I'm talking to you in general. It's going to sound like I'm contradicting myself in a moment, but I'm not. So I've already laid it out. But here it goes. In general. If you've been in a relationship, I won't say for a couple months, but I will say for a long time. Whatever your interpretation of a long time is what yours is. It could be a year, 2, 3, 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Okay? If you've been in a relationship for years with someone and you loved one another in the beginning, or you thought you did, and you have fallen out of love, you must make an attempt. Both both of you should be the better person, but you must make an attempt to find out what's going on and what went wrong. You must have the wherewithal, the intestinal fortitude to sit down with your partner and not have your emotions on your sleeve, ladies or guys. Take a few deep breaths, and you tell the other person, whoever initiates the conversation, you say, I would like to talk with you when we have time, undivided. No children, no family members, no work involved. I don't have to leave and go here. Let's give ourselves a window of time of maybe half an hour to an hour and talk. I would say an hour or more, to be honest. And you lay it on the table and you say, these are the conditions, and the conditions are really no conditions. Just fundamentally speaking, the condition is this: we are not to yell at one another. We're not to call one another names. But we are to be respectful both to ourselves and to one another. We're supposed to talk to one another as if we love one another, not as enemies. No matter what has transpired over the years or how we feel, let it go for this moment in time. And you say, this is how I feel. I feel that we haven't talked, and I feel that you don't love me anymore, and I don't know why. Is there something that I have done? Please be honest with me. That's the man talking to the woman, or vice versa, or the man, whoever is in a relationship, okay? Lay it on the table. And one or both of you, when the other person begins to get a little incensed or a little upset or even emotional, you say, okay, let's make sure that we remember the guideline. Remember the rules. We're not supposed to blow up at each other. We're just talking. There could be some tears that are going to flow because that's automatic when it deals with someone that you love, or even feel like you used to love. So, if one partner, while you're trying to express yourself to that partner, gets up and walks away, let them. Don't follow them. Don't say, see, I told you so, because you are worsening the situation. Sometimes people get up and walk away because you struck a chord, you pushed a button, as some say. It may have been the truth that they don't want to deal with, or it may be something that they're hiding, and they feel vulnerable, especially as it relates to women sometimes. Not that men can't feel that way. So whoever walks away, leave it go for that day. Let them have their time, their space. But again, none of this. When you see them in the home, or one another in the home, hey, how you doing today? Would you like something to drink? Do something nice for the other person, for your partner. I'm going to go to the store. Would you like to ride with me or walk with me? Or I'm about to fix me something to eat. Would you like some lunch, or would you like a salad or a sandwich or whatever? You see where I'm going with this? To do nothing in a relationship that is disintegrating, it's going to get you nothing. It's just going to continue to break apart and be even more difficult to mend or bring back. You follow? So, you made the first attempt and one partner got up and walked away. Now it's round two. You tell them And this could be the male or the female, it doesn't matter. I'm speaking in generality. So you say, excuse me, dear, can we talk again? I know maybe it got a little emotional uh, the last time we talked. And talk in calm, soft words. Don't get puffed up. Don't get anxious. Say, can we pick another day to talk again? If they don't want to talk that particular time, you say, okay, maybe after that. And let's say you have another meeting together that you both agree on, and you sit down again. And let's say it happens again, that partner gets up and walks away. Let's say that the partner even refuses to have any further conversation with you, and you have made several attempts after the first time, second time, and they refuse to communicate with you, and sometimes even lashes out at you verbally. So back away. Now, there's only so far an individual should go in this situation. You are doing your part. The partner that's trying to get to the bottom of what's going on with the relationship. You're only doing your part. When you've done your part, you should have no guilt whatsoever. None. Zero. Nada. So, the ball is in the court of a partner that is not responding to you appropriately and intellectually and as an adult. You have to start laying down the ground rules now. You can speak indirectly, but you must speak. Why? Because you are at stake. When I say you, it's because you are important. You are important now more than ever. You should not be held in bondage in any relationship because your partner doesn't want to communicate with you about issues that are hurting you or that have hurt you. So now, you are the person that's the most important now. You've made several attempts to talk to him, ladies. You've made several attempts to talk to her, guys. No response. Maybe they even sleep on the couch now and have been for several months or even a year. Maybe they have even denied you sex because of that original conflict that you had that brought you to the point of sitting at the table and trying to talk in the first place. They're not responding to you. They're not answering your questions. And you're coming at them as an adult and they still ignore you. And they say things to you like, excuse me, honey, where did you go the other day with the children because you didn't come back home? And then they respond to you, are you questioning me? Or I don't answer questions. Is it fair for your spouse to leave the home with your children, for example? And you make phone calls to contact them to find out where the children are and where they are, and they don't answer the phone. But they come in the next day or 2 days later, and you have to ask the children, where are you at? I missed you. I came home from work and you were not there. I'm using that as an example. Is that fair to your partner, to your husband, or to your wife? I don't think so. So now, I say again, this third category of things that can make us miserable and why we are miserable. We are miserable in a relationship because of our failure to act. Act how? When you don't try to communicate with your partner when something is bothering you. you are going to be internally miserable. It could hurt your health physically, medically. Did you know that there are many people who die from internal stress? Their organs begin to fail. They lose the desire to eat, to live, to dream, to aspire, to achieve, because they are depressed, in such a deep state of depression, because they're unhappy. It's one thing to be not satisfied with something, but it's an entirely different thing when you are unhappy. You are supposed to be in a relationship that's thriving, full of joy, enjoying your family, not with your head hanging down 24/7, not having anything to look forward to when you come home from work as it relates to your family, especially your spouse. And when you try or attempt to talk to your spouse and your spouse berates you, they talk to you in a condescending way, and they don't answer very fundamental or simple questions that a husband or wife would ask their partner or their spouse, and they're playing mind games with you. This makes you withdraw, and it makes you wonder, who is this individual, this person that I thought I used to know? Who have they become? So, failure to act in your relationship. First of all, your action should be to try to get to the problem, the root or the cause of the problem. Note that I say cause. And if your partner is not willing to communicate with you when you're attempting to communicate with them, and you've tried this numerous times, over time, and especially several months and even up to a year or longer, it's time to go. It is time to find and prepare an exit plan. It's time to get out, ladies and gentlemen, because that individual doesn't love you. Love endures all things, according to the scriptures. I believe it is true. Love is not something you can pick up and take off. It doesn't work that way. It's unconditional. If someone really loves you the way that you love them, they will do what they're supposed to do as a man or a woman. You don't have to keep browbeating them with the same question, hoping for a response or an answer, if they really love you. And for someone to love you, they must first love themselves. So I guess you know the answer to whether or not they love you is based on the fact that they don't love themselves. Their love is artificial. It's not real. So I hope in this time of yours that I've taken here, and I appreciate you even watching this video, and I'm speaking from experience. I've lived long enough, and I've been in a few relationships, and I know what I'm talking about. You can't make someone love you who doesn't love you. And on top of that, they have to first understand what love is. Now, what makes you miserable and why are you miserable? As relates to your finances, your health, and your relationships. And I told you the general answer is, not talking to anyone specifically, it's your failure to act. So if you're having financial issues, then act. Do the right thing to increase your finances and come out your comfort zone. If you're having health issues, do those things that are necessary to get you in a position where you are more healthy than you have ever been. And remove the things, the toxic things from your diet and the practices that you have been using, the pharmaceutical drugs that you don't need to be putting in your body, not the things that you need to live, if that's the case, but you need to reevaluate yourself and your situation. Remove those things from your life. Begin to exercise. Take some stock in you, the human being, the person, the man or the woman. Get up off of your do nothing and start taking care of yourself as far as your health is concerned, and those so-called diseases will go away. The majority of them. Now, as it relates to relationships, if you're about to venture off into a new relationship, make sure that you get the individual to, as they used to say in the old way, court you. No sex involved. You get to know one another first before you ever consummate your relationship. And then you'll find out what that person is really about. Because if the man or the woman is trying to rush the other person in the bed, excuse my expression, it's just sex. It's not a relationship. Not one of value. And it's not going to last. Now, as it relates to all three of those things, again, finances, your health, and your relationships, take action and stop just haphazardly walking through life. Know the world that you live in. Pay close attention to the world that you live in so that you're not consumed by the very world that you live in. This is Brother Teacher. If this was of value to you, please share it with someone you care about, and you can like it. If you're new to my channel, you can subscribe. I'm not going to go looking for you if you don't subscribe, but it's appreciated. I am a common man speaking to my common brothers and sisters out there watching me. Whoever you are, wherever you are in the world, it doesn't matter. If my message finds someone who can benefit from the things that I say and the information that I offer, I've done my job. And that's it. And that is all. This is Brother Teacher Reginald. Yahweh loves you, and I love you. You have a great evening, afternoon, or morning, depending on where you are. So long.